We are joined today by Arianna Huffington. Among many other things, she is now the author of a new book, Third World America. We'll hear her thoughts on that and what she says is the dying breed in America, the middle class. Thank you for joining us. The book is Third World America, and I've got to say, it starts out with a provocative subtitle, How Our Politicians Are Abandoning the Middle Class and Betraying the American Dream. Arianna, this is so unlike you to put things in such stark terms. Why'd you call it Third World America?
I know it's a jarring phrase. You know, it's a phrase that doesn't seem to go with America, the America we know and love. And I, as an immigrant, you know, this accent is for real. I grew up believing in the American dream. I remember going to school every day, going by a statue of President Truman, who personified, you know, American generosity, the Marshall Plan, a better life. And now what's happened is that for millions of American middle-class families, that is no longer the case. Upward mobility has been replaced by downward mobility. We have 100 million people right now who are doing less well than their parents were at the same age. 2/3 of the American people now believe that their children will not do as well as they are doing. The data are stunning. You know, 26 million people unemployed or underemployed. This year we're going to have 3 million homes foreclosed. Every 30 seconds somebody goes bankrupt. But in the book I have more stories as well as data, because I think it's the stories that capture what's happening.
Well, what you say, and again, another provocative accusation, as it were, you say the fix is in and the game is rigged. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is that right now, powerful public special interests buy public policy. We saw what happened with the bailout. Yes, we had to bail out Wall Street to save the financial system. But did we have to do it the way we did, without conditions, without strings attached, with Goldman Sachs getting 100 cents to the dollar? I have friends of mine who sleep with a copy of Ayn Rand's Fountainhead under their pillows, who are really upset about this. The point I'm making in the book, Bob, is that this is not a left-right debate. This is beyond left and right. Everybody, even the richest Americans, should want a thriving middle class. Otherwise, we become Mexico and Brazil, with people living behind gates and the rest of the population in a state of anger and resentment. That's not America.
So what do we do about it?
So the Section 5 is all about solutions. So if your viewers are right now really busy and they don't have time to read the whole book, I suggest they only read Section 5. The first part of Section 5 is about what government should do. And very quickly, I think, first of all, there needs to be a sense of urgency about what's happening, hence my title, because it's still preventable. The sense of urgency that we brought together when we bailed out Wall Street. Remember, over a weekend, everybody came together and basically said, we cannot afford to let this happen. We need the same sense of urgency around jobs. Let's put everything on the table. Republicans want a payroll tax holiday. Democrats want a huge infrastructure project, which you need anyway, because otherwise we'll have many more San Brunos like we had in California. And then we also need to do something fundamental about our campaign financing system, because otherwise lobbyists and donors are going to dominate how we write our laws and how we write our policies. The second part of the solutions involves what we, the people, need to do, because we also need to take personal responsibility. Many Americans bought into this idea that you could have a shortcut to the American dream, you know, and no down payment, no proof of income, mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. And we also need to recognize that as well as building our own financial literacy, we need to see what we can give back to our own communities, which is also essential to the American dream from the beginning. The pursuit of happiness was always about feeling good by doing good. And here, I mean, I have these amazing stories around the country, Bob, and that's where my hope that we're going to be able to turn things around comes from. People ranging from Seth Reams, an unemployed worker in Portland, Oregon, who after filing 500 job applications and still having no job, started something called we've got time to help.org. and literally became a Craigslist for service, helping people. And he discovered that by doing that, he felt empowered. And going on to people with skills, lawyers in Philadelphia who lost their jobs and used their time and skills to help others. So we need to bring that back into our lives, the sense of community, the sense that we are not out there just for ourselves.
It is a fine book. It is well worth the read. You put out a lot on the table, and I think you're absolutely right. There are things the government needs to do. There are things that both parties need to do, but there are also things that people, just folks out there, need to do, which are actually possible.
Exactly.
If you can kind of focus on it. Well, I wish you the best in this book, Arianna.